Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Washi's Kama TV. Calm has returned to the country. Everything seems to be operating normally. But this does not mean that the storm is over. The storm is not yet over. And when I look at the government, I remember Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta warning Kenyans that we have a burgeoning number of youth, and this situation need to be handled with extreme caution. And I'm going to give a clip here about Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta warning about this situation. Uhuru was speaking prophetically, and it has come to pass. When I look at this country, I would say that what happened yesterday was a vote of no confidence to the government of William Samoei Ruto. I'm saying this because 27 counties had people pouring into the streets, and the number was actually distributed evenly as far as geographical positions is concerned. And even those counties where people did not come out does not mean that they are supporting the government. Because when I look at the Ukabani Nation is not actually supporting William Samoei Ruto's government. But you realize that a number of them, actually, we not see them coming out in demonstrations. And this one tells you that William Samoei Ruto popularity is actually crumbling. William Samoei Ruto's government has become so unpopular, and things can only become worse. Because if this situation is repeated every year, I think things may not end up well, because it is now turning out to be a ritual, turning out to be an annual event. And when we expect leaders to come out and address the nation and tell us what needs to be done, tunaona kwamba wamekaa tu pale, burying their heads in the sand like ostrich that hides its head in the ostrich when it is burning, assuming that there is no problem. And I think it is very, very important we start listening to the youth, because this is not what we are doing. What Kenyans are saying is that there is a problem, and these problems need to be solved. I want to first watch Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, listen to every word, watch his tone and everything.
We have a youth bulge that, if not properly handled, can be a time bomb that can blow this country to pieces. The handling of that has to be done extremely carefully. Extremely carefully. That is not a problem of this community or that. It affects us all. But how we manage it, we must manage it very carefully.
According to Fred Okengo Matiang'i, who is a presidential candidate of 2027, there is a state of carelessness. There is a state of indifference as far as the government is concerned. There is a lot of laxity because the government is not solving the problems as it should. The government is not addressing the issues that the youth are raising. The parents are crying. And that's why you saw yesterday the number of demonstrators increased compared to what happened last year. And I want to enumerate just a few of these problems that the Gen Z are asking. One, the Gen Z are asking for jobs. Jobs and jobs and jobs, nothing else. Number two, the Gen Z are asking the government not to abduct and kill them. Nothing else. Stop abductions. Stop killing us. That is the message. I also noted that some policemen actually shot somebody who was not even demonstrating, a small child who was not actually demonstrating, had a stray bullet, and the child was at home, and this was very, very unfortunate. And there are many children actually who suffered, and they were not actually in the demonstrations. So what the youth are telling the government that abductions must stop. That is the message. And if the government is not going to stop these abductions, expect this demonstration to escalate. I'm imagining a situation whereby these demonstrations are repeated every year when it becomes an annual event. Meaning, if you are going to have an election in August 2027 and a demonstration in June, just some few months to the elections, what is going to happen to this country. In fact, Kenya looks like a war zone. And Fred Okengo Matiang'i continue to explain to Kenyans what this government needs to do. Because you see, again, the issue of corruption. If I were William Samoei Ruto, I would form a government with the people who are clean. I would not bring people with issues in court, people with questionable characters, people who are accused of embezzlement. And again, when you look at what is happening in the country, you agree with me that this idea of not addressing issues is the one that is bringing these problems. I want you to watch Matiang'i talking here briefly.
It's very difficult to do anything when the country is in the situation in which it is right now. And I have been observing what has been going on in the country since morning. Like many of us who are interested in what's happening in the country. And quite frankly, it's very painful and very unfortunate to see what is going on in the country, because I don't think there's someone around who thinks we should be living like this every day. And our young people getting out expressing themselves, and the level of violence that we have seen, the level of destruction in the country is unbearable. And we cannot pretend that there are no issues, and this has nothing to do with politics. Whatever side of the political divide you belong to, these issues need to be addressed. I keep asking this question: how many lives are we going to lose before we start listening and reasoning with each other? Because what is being asked here really is attention, and then to ensure that we work in an inclusive manner to address the challenges that we face. And we cannot pretend that the challenges don't exist, and then we live as if those who are raising questions, or those who are on the streets, like our young active Kenyans, are just doing it for any other reasons except trying to address the real issues that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. So for me and many of us, really, it's a very, very sad day and very painful. If we were a little more open and more focused in addressing some of these issues, we should not have gotten here this year. Because when this happened last year, there are promises that were made that were never fulfilled. Personally, I've been thinking, actually, and maybe I'll speak about this some more when I get out and start having conversations with people. We needed an open public inquiry on some of these things, and on all things that are being raised. We cannot go on like this, because the question you ask yourself every day is, how many more lives are we going to lose before we start listening and reasoning with each other? I believe that there must come a time in the life of our country when nothing matters but the country. These questions have asked about inclusion. The questions have asked about what needs to be done in employment, how to handle education, because most of these frustrations, it's true, as some parent was telling me, some of our children are genuinely traumatized. If you have been in university for 2 years or 3 years, you cannot do an exam because you don't have money and so on. What do we expect them to do? It is painful and hurting. To be frank with you, sometimes you hope that in life you don't have to face a situation where you have to address these kinds of things. To look at like those mothers and those parents and all those who have lost their young ones in circumstances such as this. It is very sad, very disheartening. But look, let's not lose hope, because when all is said and done, let's get together, because it's for this reason precisely that we should all cross ranks in an intergenerational manner, come together and find solutions to fix these challenges. And we will fix them. These are not insurmountable problems. These are things we can deal with. I get very sad really when I see even the language that is being used in circumstances such as this. People are raising issues. What we have seen in the course of the last few days, the language even from the leaders is shocking. How do you address your citizens in the kind of manner that some of our leaders have been speaking? Yet actually you're addressing people who are raising challenges, very basic, straightforward issues and challenges that you need to solve and deal with as a leader. Why can't we even be decent and talk to each other in a responsible manner? The country and really the world now needs warriors of progress, warriors of development, not warriors who carry pangas and rungus, They need warriors of progress, warriors of development, warriors of togetherness who are going to build unity and create greatness out of our nation.
If I were to advise a president, I would tell him, one, address the issues that the Gen Zs are raising. Number two, I would fire the deputy president and bring a youthful guy. I'm not saying that Kidiki is old, but I would bring the youth into my government. In fact, I would bring somebody with radical approaches to issues. I understand Donald Trump is ruling with very young guys behind the scene, and they're behind everything that you see American doing. Very youthful guys. You cannot ignore these guys. You need to bring them on board. In fact, I would form a cabinet of the youth. The oldest person would be 40 years. Number two thing I would do, I would not be seen again campaigning on rooftops. I would not even condemn Rigathi Gachagua. I would not condemn anybody. I would work like Kibaki. Work like Kibaki and only come out when the situation calls. Like now, when we have national celebrations, public holidays, or when I need to address the issues. But the funny thing with William Samoei is that he did not even address the nation after these demonstrations. People need to be assured. People need to be told that there is hope. Najua wakati mwingine ni vizuri hata kula matumaini. Ndio tunajua matumaini hawezi yakashibisha. Lakini let's have hope in this country because we are having a situation of hopelessness. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my morning take. I don't know what you think, but we shall continue to watch as the event unfolds. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.